So, you want to watch Thor Love and Thunder. Maybe it's because you have a friend who was a big fan of Marvel, or maybe even a lover or whoever wants to, see this movie with you. Or maybe you just saw the previews and you're like, that looks interesting. And then, then you learn to yourself, oh wait, this is the fourth movie in a long line of Thor movies. And oh wait, Thor is a whole franchise within the MCU, which is a whole bunch of movies. And in order to fully understand everything, you need to watch every single one. That must be a doozy. You're like, how am I going to do this in time? You could watch all of them, but what if you don't have time? Well, here is my solution, and I am here to help. Today, I am going to tell you all the movies that you need to see. If you don't have time for that, I'm going to give you a recap of all the movies that you need to see, that you need to see in order to understand this movie. I'm going to give you a recap of what happens in each movie, so you can go see it with your friend or lover, or, just seeing it on your own and understand this movie. So come with me, and we're going to go through all the Thor-related movies and Guardians of the Galaxy. Come with me, and we'll go on an adventure. These are a good set of movies, so I recommend you see them even after you've seen Thor Love and Thunder if you can't see it before you see this movie. So, I hope you enjoy. And the movies that you need to see before you see Thor Love and Thunder are Thor, Avengers, Thor 2, The Dark World, Avengers 2, Age of Ultron, and then you need to see, after that, you need to see the 2 Guardians of the Galaxy movies, because the Guardians of the Galaxy aren't in here. And then you can move on to Thor Ragnarok. Then you need to watch Avengers 3 and Avengers 4, Infinity War and Endgame. So, once you've seen, those are the movies that you need to see. But hey, what if you don't have time to watch these? I'm going to give you a recap real quickly, and we're going to start with Thor.
So is this how you normally look?
More or less.
It's a good look.
We start with the movie Thor, the beginning of this entire movie franchise, of these 4 movies, with Thor Love and Thunder being the 4th. We start with this. We can start with a backstory where his father, Odin, is fighting a war with the Frost Giants. You can tell it with Odin narrating, telling the story of how he defeated the Frost Giants, and how he learned to be a fair king instead of being a one of war-seeking. And then we see that he's telling the story to his 2 kids, Thor and Loki. And Thor is like, I want to be king. And Odin's like, you will be one day. You must be a brave and respectable king. For a good king does not seek war, but must always be ready for it. Direct quote, anyways. So, we move on to older Thor. And older Thor is being anointed to be king. He's like, you will be king. And all that. But, oh no, before he can get anointed, the Frost Giants have infiltrated Asgard and are going to the throne room to go for a relic. Oh no, so Odin and Thor have to rush over there. And once they get there, they see that the Frostans have been annihilated by Asgard's the treasure vault's protector, the Destroyer. So luckily the Destroyer was there. But Thor is very mad about this. It's like, how do they get in there? So we must start a war. They're trying to start a war. It's like, Odin's like, no. But Thor doesn't listen, so he grabs some of his buddies and Loki, and they go fight the Frost Giants. And at first they have a good upper hand on the Frost Giants, but they start getting surrounded, and before they can be killed, Odin comes down and picks them up. But now Asgardians and the Frost Giants are at war again. Odin ain't happy, so Odin banishes Thor, and throws his hammer so he makes sure, maybe he's no longer Thor's no longer worthy of his hammer, but maybe he can be worthy again. So Thor is sent to Earth, and he when he lands, he's accidentally hit by a car, hit by a person who would be his future lover, Jane Foster, and Jane Foster and a group of scientists, and they're like, "Is this an alien?" And he's like, he's like a crazy person on Earth because, he's a god and all that stuff. And he no longer has his powers because he doesn't have the hammer and he's not worthy. So, he's all confused and all that stuff. And time goes on and he learns that his hammer's also there. So he's like, I have to go get my hammer because he thinks he's worthy. So he goes, Jane Foster helps him and all that stuff. And they go and infiltrate a S.H.I.E.L.D. base, which we'll learn what S.H.I.E.L.D. is. You'll get to know that in Avengers. And Thor, infiltrates the thing, and he gets to the hammer. He beats down a couple guys. It's pretty cool. And Thor tries to pick up the hammer, but he learns he's not worthy. He's like, no. Yeah. So he gets arrested, but he gets one of Jane Foster's buddy, Eric Selvig, picks him up and all that stuff. And it's all sad times, And meanwhile, since Thor is gone, Loki learns that he was adopted. See, back when the war happened and Odin ended the war and all that stuff, he picked up a baby. It was the son of the king of the frost giants, and that is Loki. And Loki didn't know this. He looked like a human. He probably adapted to it. But when he came near to the relic that they were trying to steal, his hands would go blue. He's like, huh, what? So he learns he's a frost giant, and he's not happy that his father never told him this. He's like, you say what? And then it stresses Odin now. He's like, ah. And he goes into an Odin sleep, which for gods, I think it's just a very eternal coma. It's a very long coma. I mean, it's not forever, but it's a coma. And Loki becomes the temporary king. And with this, he goes to make sure Thor is dead, and he sends the Destroyer down to Earth. This is a very simplified version, by the way. I'm removing a lot of elements, like a whole romance and all that stuff between Thor and Jane Foster and all that stuff. And so, Loki sends the Destroyer, and Thor's not worthy yet, so he can't battle them. Also, his buddies also go down to Earth to help Thor. I just want to point that out before we enter the battle with the Destroyer. And the Destroyer is destroying everything. So his buddies try to fight the Destroyer, but they can't handle him because the Destroyer is goaded with a sauce and is strong. So Thor is like, run away, get these people away. I'm gonna sacrifice myself for this. I've learned a lesson. Story arcs. Watch the movie and this will have more an impact. But he goes and he talks to Loki because he can tell Loki's controlling this. And he says, let these people go. Just kill me. So, and he thinks, and then the Destroyer turns around and he's like, oh, I guess the Destroyer had some mercy. I guess Loki had some mercy. No. The Destroyer smacks Thor and Thor is almost dead. But with that valiant effort, he has become worthy, so that the hammer comes to him, and he becomes the mighty Thor. He gains his powers again, and he destroys the Destroyer. Haha, funny. Funny. So Thor, after that, he sees that Loki has become king, and he's becoming a monster. So he goes, and he goes to Asgard. He says to Jane that he'll come back. They share a kiss, and then he goes to Asgard. And I'm sorry, my brain's trying to do things while I'm recording this. He goes to Asgard, and he fights Loki, defeats Loki, and with that, he has taken down Loki and put him under. But Loki has fallen in an attempt. Loki has fallen into space. Thor didn't want to kill him, but Loki sent himself flying. And I think, Loki's dead. He's been flying into the abyss, And, Thor is back to doing his own thing. Odin's back from his Odin sleep and all that stuff. But during the battle with Loki, it broke something called the Rainbow Bridge, which is the only way he could get to Earth. So, that's not good. But Loki falls to the void, right? And we think, maybe he's dead. But in a post-credit scene, we see that he is alive. And that is the end of Thor. It's a very rough intro, but I think you get the gist of that. So, and now we move on to the second movie with Thor in it, The Avengers.
the cube to bring me home, but I've sent it off I know not where.
Listen well, brother.
I'm listening.
Oh, right, the next Thor-related movie is the team-up movie, The Avengers. And Loki's back. Oh, we thought he was dead. No, he landed on Earth. He stumbled upon Earth, and he's like, you know what? Actually, I don't think he went straight to Earth, but he did something else, and then he got orders to go to Earth. So, yeah. But whatever. So he gets to Earth, and he's like, I'm gonna take over this. I know my brother. I know my brother enjoyed the humans here, so I'm gonna take over. And he starts war. And Nick Fury, the leader of the assembly of the Avengers, gathers all the Avengers, and they go and try to stop him. They go to try to stop Loki. Initially he doesn't invite Thor, but Thor comes along because, it's Loki. So Thor's like, I must get my brother. He is wreaking havoc. So, excuse me. So they go and they assemble. At first, Thor is seen as an enemy. So Iron Man and Captain America fight him. If you were wondering for the clip before, the thing that carried Thor off was Iron Man. Yeah, it was Iron Man. I'm listening. So yeah, Loki's running rampant, and it all. I don't think I really need to explain much because, yes, this has a lot. This is a major thing for Thor. It's more focused on a lot of other characters. It's focusing on a lot of different characters. So I'm just gonna skip over a little bit into the final fight, where the Avengers fight an alien army sent from Loki and an alien army, and they fight, and the Avengers take down Loki with Thor, and Thor takes Loki to Asgard to be arrested, which leads right into our next film. I just noticed how I took way longer on Thor, but only took 2 minutes on Avengers, which, Avengers is a way more monumental film. I'm just trying to focus on what you need to know. You know what I mean? Avengers is a group of a bunch of people, like Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, Black Widow, Hawkeye, and Thor. And, they all assemble to defeat Thor's brother, Loki. Loki's a pretty good villain if he gets spied twice. So, yeah, he gets sent into to be arrested on Asgard, and that leads right into our next movie, Thor 2, Thor: The Dark World.
Anyone else?
Next up is Thor: The Dark World. Now, while this is a very important film to Thor, it is watch this film, watch all these films, so you can fully understand it without, obviously these recaps do help, but you need to see all the films kind of thing. But Thor: The Dark World, I must warn, is not that good of a movie, but it is very important. So we enter with Loki has been arrested. He's sitting in a cell, and we also get another flashback where Odin talks about a threat that Odin's father, so it's a long time ago, fought the Dark Elves and took them down. The Dark Elves have been hidden, and also introduces the thing called the Ether, which, for future reference, is an Infinity Stone, which is a very important thing for future events. So, with the Ether, and we pick up with Thor, and Thor is fighting battles, trying to make peace on the 9 realms. The 9 realms is basically just Earth and a bunch of important planets across the universe. Trying to protect the 9 realms. He's fighting and all that stuff with his boys. The boys from the last one, and trying to make peace. And the first the battle that you see is the clip that I show with the brrr. Anyone else? That's where the clip's from. They're fighting battles to make sure that the 9 realms are at peace. And with that battle, for the most part, the Nine Realms are at a peace. So yeah, and then Thor is not satisfied because in all this time he hasn't. It's been 2 years since the first events of Thor, and he hasn't visited Jane, and he loves Jane, and he feels bad for not being able to visit. But everything's been chaotic, the Nine Realms, all stuff, and fights and all that stuff, and he feels kind of sad about that. So every night he goes to Heimdall, which Heimdall is a very interesting character, and he's the one that helps everyone get to different planets and all this stuff. And since the Rama Bridge has been broken, you can't go to the certain place, or at least you may I guess. He just looks and he just sees what Jane's doing, to see what Jane's up to. And wait, hold on, he got to Earth anyways, so I don't know. I think there's other ways. It shows that some of these things are not making sense because I'm not properly explaining them. I've already almost taken longer than the last one, and I'm barely gotten to Thor Dark World. So we go to Jane, and Jane's on a date with another man. It's been 2 years. She's still missing Thor badly because true love, all that stuff. But he's going on a date a man, and she's just very uninterested. And the guy but the poor guy, But her friend, one of her friends, says, "Oh, there's been an anomaly." So Jane has to leave to go to investigate that. And they go, and then there's a little weird portal thing that you can throw items and it'll teleport, and then it'll just disappear, to never come. And sometimes it'll come back, but sometimes it'll never come back. It's weird, and yeah, we learn about that, and I think Jane accidentally falls into that, and she doesn't come back. She ends up in a really dark place, and she gets absorbed by what I've decided was the ether, and the ether enters her body. Well, yes, there are infinity stones. The ether is the only one that comes normally in the form of a little liquidy sentient being that takes on hosts. And the ether goes into Jane, and then she comes back, and it's not good. And Thor, Heimdall, the guy who can see everything across the universe, he's like, Thor, something has happened to Jane. You need to go to Earth. So Thor goes back to Earth, and Jane, who doesn't feel bad right now, is kind of upset. It's like, wait, he's back? He's been 2 years. Slaps him. Reasonable. Reasonable, justified. So, yeah, and Thor doesn't know about the ether thing, and so a cop pulls up because someone called the cops. Apparently, she was gone for 5 hours in a little limbo, whatever, with the ether and all that stuff, and hold on. Oh yeah, and the cop. I'm sorry, I'm pausing because I'm trying to gather all my thoughts. I'm not doing this scripted. Sorry. So a cop touches her and all that stuff, and the ether reacts and all that stuff, and just explodes. It's Thor's oh no, something's wrong. So he takes her to Asgard because this ain't a normal illness. Takes her to Asgard, and Odin sees this, and he's like, "This ain't normal. I know what this is, the ether, origin with the Dark Elves and all that stuff." And we also, while this is happening, we see that the Dark Elves have returned. Malekith, the villain, the most forgettable villain, the villain that I literally just watched this a little, yesterday or the day before, and I'm like, is Malekith gay? Random, no, I don't think he actually is, but it was one of his trusted, loyal teammates, and I'm like, are they gay? Yeah, and Malekith, he's like, I think he senses the ether and all that stuff. It's like, we must get it in his own little alien language, special. And all that stuff. So, Malekith decides to raid Asgard and to get Jane, and Thor must protect and all that stuff, and all the Asgardian soldiers, because they need to protect the ether. This thing is a very powerful thing. And in all that battle, Loki gets broken out. And Thor's mother gets killed. This is where the major importance is of this. So that ain't good. Loki and Thor are like, oh, man. And so is Odin, of course. That was his wife. Some people are like, oh, Odin's the bad person during these movies. And they're not like, Odin's the very bad father. And I'm like, understandable, have a great day. But, he's not a bad person, per se. So they need to go, and Thor wants to destroy the ether by having Malekith take the ether out of Jane and then electrifying it. So they go to bait Malekith, and they do that, and then it set up a whole plot. Like Loki, it's Thor and Loki. Thor, Loki, and Jane going on a journey, best of buds, Loki's back for a third movie, people. He's a good character. So they go, and she takes the ether out of Jane, and he tries to electrify it, and you think it works. It doesn't. And Malekith absorbs the ether. Not good. But, they do, Thor and Loki do get away. Well, actually, no. Thor makes it away. Loki gets killed. Oh no, he's dead. Or is he? Spoilers. Or is he? Thor must avenge and all that stuff. And then he goes back to Earth because I think Malekith is going to go do something. Because I think so throughout this movie, we're learning about something called the convergence, where once in thousands of years, all the realms will align, and then it'll cause matter, what are bad things. And Malekith wants to use that to his advantage, and it's on Earth by chance because everything happened on Earth. So Thor and Malekith fight. And Thor takes down Malekith. Malekith, the most forgettable villain ever. This movie's not that good, but hey, it's a very important movie to Thor's journey. So he takes down Malekith, kills Malekith, and all that stuff. And Odin offers Thor to become king. Because, the 9 realms are at peace. You could become king now. And Thor's like, no. I want to continue to be a warrior. I want to continue to protect the 9 realms, and I feel like I can't do that while I'm king. You keep being king. You go off king. And so yeah, Thor leaves, and it is revealed that that Loki survived, and he was taking the disguise of Odin after that death scene. So dun dun dun. So that leads into the next movie, the next Avengers film, Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Is that the best you can do? You had to ask.
Right, and that leads to the movie Avengers: Age of Ultron. Now, once again, I'm not going to cover the entire plot of this. I'm just going to tell you what you need to know about this movie. Because, after you've seen Thor: Love and Thunder and all that stuff, see the rest of these movies so you can fully understand. Because I may miss something. So, move on to Avengers: Age of Ultron. And for the importance of Thor. Alright, so the Avengers are going and hunting down Hydra bases and trying to look for the scepter because they've taken the scepter. Loki's scepter from the first movie. So there's a little boy there. Loki's still making havoc. I'm joking, by the way. I think they took a scepter, and they find the base that they have. Find the base that is holding the scepter. I don't know why my brain's being slow currently. They find the place, they find the scepter, they take down the people and all this stuff, and then they see the scepter. There's also this just the introduction of the enhanced Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, which is not important to Thor's specific story. So we're not gonna really cover on them a little bit. So they find the scepter and all that stuff, and Tony Stark and Bruce Banner have a couple days. Two of the Avengers, Iron Man and Hulk, have a couple days. Just look over, see what was possible with this scepter. Why'd you let him do that? Thor, just take it back to the vault. Just take it back to the vault. Because Tony Stark sees that you can make an AI out of this, and he's like, we can make Ultron. We can make Ultron, guys. Because for a long time, apparently, they didn't mention this until now, but, there's gaps in time. It's fine. It's explainable. Tony Stark has a lot of ideas. Have the idea of Ultron, a suit of armor around the world, an AI that can cause peace. So they want to make that, right? And in an attempt to make that, the download was fully complete, but Ultron somehow still came alive, and he's using the power. The power of the scepter is, which is what, by the way, there's an Infinity Stone in that scepter. By the way, I just want to point that out real quickly. They take that, and it becomes Ultron. Ultron is the villain of the story. Ultron, so I want to make this clear. He confuses peace and quiet. So he thinks to himself that the Avengers deserve to die. And eventually humanity. Eventually the plan evolves to humanity deserves to die, so things can be quiet. So things can be peaceful. No, that's just quiet, by the way. See, the AI is kind of like missing the point. Like he's like Ultron's a genius. Like Ultron's a mad genius, but he confuses. Because his program wasn't fully downloaded, he has one concept, and the main that he gets confused on, which is the difference between peace and quiet. Fun. So yeah, Ultron is the villain and all that stuff, and Ultron wreaks havoc. And Thor, I think so obviously in the story there's Scarlet Witch and we're going to come back to Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver join Ultron, and Scarlet Witch has the power to instill visions and all that stuff. She becomes way powerful. This is her introduction. She's kind of weak in this, but she does enrage the Hulk and all that stuff, so it's kind of cool. But she also gives Thor a vision, and this vision shows him like all these scary stuff, and he has to investigate. So he goes and goes to Eric Selvig, one of his Earth friends, and they help try to investigate this, and they learn about the Infinity Stones and all that stuff. Properly learn about it, and they learn about the Infinity Stone that is in that little scepter. And Ultron's using this Infinity Stone. He doesn't actually have the Infinity Stone, but they made an AI with the Infinity Stone. And uses this Infinity Stone to make a new body, right? Which the Avengers take, and the Avengers take back so they can use their own purposes. And Tony Stark and Hulk and Bruce Banner decide to make another AI. Again, he was making another evil AI before. Well, they didn't mess up this time, and they decided to put Jarvis, which Jarvis is the voice inside of Iron Man's head, the AI inside of Iron Man's suit. And they start putting Jarvis in there, and that becomes the hero Vision. You don't need to know this part, but like Thor has a major part in this, because when the Avengers learn of them making Vision, they ain't happy, because like, you just made a murder bot and you're trying to make another one, kind of thing. so understandable, justified. But Thor comes in, like he was exploring. He was separate from the crowd and all that stuff, and he sees this, and he sees that the Infinity Stone's in there. So he helps, and he powers the Vision, and quick completes it. And they're like, why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? Like Iron Man's like, yeah, but like, and he comes Vision. I was like, so that there was like all the he saw a vision of all of this destruction, and at the center of it was that stone. So he so if this thing's good, it's in the right hands. And he's like he's still not sure about it and all this stuff. And then Vision's like, I understand you. I'm not on the side of Ultron. I'm on the side of life. This is what Ultron should have been. You know, that's basically what it is. Because they didn't complete the download on Ultron, so he has Ultron's intelligence while also having the good nature. So what happens, right, is like they're getting like, okay, we have to fight Ultron, and are you with me? And he picks up Thor's hammer, meaning that Vision got to be good if he can pick up Thor's hammer, because you got to be worthy for that. You got to be like a real good person to lift it, and not even like Tony Stark. No one can lift it. None of the other Avengers can lift it because they're not perfect. Some are flawed individuals. But Thor can. Thor's not perfect either. It's certain criteria that has to follow that apparently the rest of Avengers don't follow. All of them, at least, they're all good people, but like they don't follow it like Thor does. You know what I mean? But Vision picks it up, so like, oh, and Thor shooketh. Someone else can lift my hammer. You know, yeah. So they pick up the hammer. Why did I take so little on Avengers? If I've taken so much longer on. Sorry, I'm getting off track. I'm sorry. This is like very unprofessional to get off track and all that stuff. I'm just noticing some things. This is all like a one take kind of thing, except it's separate recordings, but still, I don't know why I'm still talking about this. I'm sorry. This is very unprofessional for me. So yeah, and they go fight Ultron, and that's where during that battle, that's where the clip came from. And Ultron, it's not the best you can do. And yeah, they take down Ultron, and Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver do join the Avengers. They do become good though. So yeah, that's where Age of Ultron ends, and that'll lead into our next movie. So up to this point, we're watching like Thor-related things. But another element of Thor: Love and Thunder is that the Guardians of the Galaxy are also in this movie. A whole separate team that's not related to the Avengers. So where our next movie is Guardians. So we need to watch the two Guardians of the Galaxy movies. So the first movie is Guardians of the Galaxy 1. Volume 1, to be more specific. Next up, Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, in terms of films here, like based on the previous films, besides the Avengers, this is the one that I would watch as well. Like, this is a really fun time. This is a really good movie. But off to the recap, because the recap is what you want. Our story is about a group of misfits that are across the galaxy. This is a space mission. This one, unlike most MCU titles, takes place in space, and we are first introduced to Star-Lord. We first meet him as a child, and his mom is dying of a cancer, something like that. And his mom dies, and he's all upset. Understandable. And he runs out the hospital, and suddenly, as he's standing outside in the grass, there's a bright light. A ship abducts him. And from there, we enter the next part of this movie, where we see Peter Quill at it again. But this time, he's all grown up. Chris Pratt. Da-da-da-da. And he's doing all the little dance. That's where the clip's from. Come and get your love. You know, all that stuff. And he's robbing he's looking for a little orb. He's performing a heist for Star-Lord. Is it a Ravager? What is it called? In space, it's called a Ravager, which is it's just a group of thieves, and he's a thief. And he's trying to steal this little orb thing, which just a little information. That is an Infinity Stone. There's a stone in the middle of the orb, and he doesn't know that. he don't know that. So he's just stealing the orb, just for some units, which is money in the galaxy, like it's a universal thing. Besides in Earth, because Earth is not aware of this. This is just for a lot of units, and he runs into someone else who's trying to get that orb, and and he's introduced that his hero name is Star-Lord, and the guy's like, who? But that comes after it. And he steals the orb, he gets away, and his Ravagers, the person who picked him up, Yondu, is like, I saved you, boy. He's running away. He's like, bro, I don't want anything to do with that. He's like, boy, I saved you, boy. I was supposed to take your father, boy. Yondu's very country. Boy. And yeah, so he tries to go take this to this dealer, right? And he takes it to this dealer, and he talks about like what was happening and all this stuff, and he mentions, so the people that were also going there were a group of soldiers that are working for the villain of the story, Ronan the Accuser, which is kind of crazy. He's a Kree fanatic, and he's kind of working for Thanos. Future villain, by the way. Oh, we'll get to that in just a second. Throughout the MCU, they've been setting up this character named Thanos, and I mean, spoiler alert. I mean, if you just need the recaps, I can spoil this, but if you just watched the beginning and you're still if you just needed the beginning and you're still watching, what are you doing? But yeah, Thanos is the big bad of the entire thing of the first saga, and so he's dead at this current point. So by Thor: Love and Thunder. So I just want to point that out. But Ronan is working for Thanos. And when Star-Lord mentioned this to that dealer mentions Ronan. That dealer's like, oh, no, that he wants my kind killed. Because I'm pretty sure this guy hates... So they're on a planet called... They're on a planet called something. Whatever it is. And Ronan hates that planet. Xandar, that's the name. He hates Xandarians. He wants to wipe that planet. The only reason Ronan is working for Thanos is because Ronan, in exchange for getting that orb, Thanos will wipe out Xandar. Because Thanos is hunting down the Infinity Stones. And all of that. So, yeah, so when they're like, no, I ain't taking that no more. You take your business elsewhere. And the Star-Lord's like, oh man, prick. Because he doesn't understand. And when he walks out, so Ron has obviously been tasked with this. So he sends the two daughters of Thanos, Gamora and Nebula. Well, it sends Gamora to go hunt for the orb from the Star-Lord guy. And so she's on that planet, and she tries to go take him out, Tries to take him out, tries to steal the orb. Well, also who's there is two other guys, other two characters who have become members of the Guardians of the Galaxy, Rocket and Groot. Rocket is a rocket raccoon. He's pretty cool. He's pretty nifty with gadgets. Groot is a very adorable, very strong tree that has the power to, he's a tree. He can stretch branches and all stuff, but funny catch, he can only say I am Groot. His brain has not been able to learn other words, so he says I am Groot to communicate everything. The only person who can understand him, as of this movie, is Rocket. Rocket understand what he means by the cadence of the way he says I am Groot. So yeah, and they're there on a score, and they see that there's a little bounty because Yondu put a bounty on Star-Lord to hunt him down. He's like, he wants him alive. So Rocket and Groot see this and like, oh, we gotta catch this guy. And then they see that Star-Lord's running away from Gamora, and like, ooh, money. So they also go try to catch him. Gamora's after the orb. They are after Star-Lord. So they try to catch Star-Lord, and all a whole little ruckus, and they all get arrested by the Nova Corps, which is the police force of Xandar. And so they both get arrested and all that stuff. And all get arrested, and they all get put in a prison. And this is where we meet our final member of the Guardians of the Galaxy so far, Drax, who's in the prison. He has avowed vengeance against Ronan and Thanos because they are responsible for his wife and daughter's deaths. So Ronan killed my daughter, kind of thing. Or Thanos. One of the two. Pick one. So he's a declared vengeance. So when he sees Gamora in the jail, he wants to kill her too. Because, like, you're the daughter of Thanos. Even though Gamora herself, so it is revealed that while she was hunting down that thing, she was also gonna, once she got it, she was not gonna give it to Ronan. She wanted to betray her own father, Thanos. And because she was tired of this. This is going a little too far. This orb has the potential to wipe out planets. I don't want any part of that. Understandable. Have a great day. So, with Drax joining, eventually, Star-Lord convinces Drax not to kill Gamora. Rocket is an expert. He's obviously nifty with gadgets, and he's escaped so many prisons. So they're going to use... Rocket makes a plan to escape the prison, and they escape. So now they have to go find another dealer to sell this thing to. And they go to a guy named the Collector, who he's very notorious in the comics. But they're getting ready to sell it to him, right? And he explains the origins of that. This is an Infinity Stone, and that even the Celestials, which, you know, that's an unimportant thing. Unless you watch Eternals, which is also another movie that you might want to watch, but, like, you don't need to. I don't think you need to. I obviously haven't seen the film, so I'm not going to say anything there. But I think that's a skip. The Celestial used it and literally wiped the planet, like, single hit. Well, dangerous. So yeah, he tells them the origins and all that stuff, and just before they're about to sell it to the collector's servant puts her hand on the Infinity Stone. Kind of stupid. I understand you don't want to be under control of the collector, but that's kind of stupid. She gets herself killed by putting her hand on the Infinity Stone within the orb. You know, and dies. This is way more play on play than the other ones. Dies, and then what happens? And then Ronan and Nebula pulls up. Ronan sent the other daughter, Nebula, to go hunt them down. And, you know, they try to run away. Ronan's also there. Star-Lord and Gamora try to fly, and Rocket try to fly away while the others are on the ground. Drax tries to fight Ronan. And gets clapped, gets folded. You know, like, Ronan is way stronger than Drax. Sorry if that felt a little abrupt. My thing glitched. My recording is getting very glitched. So that's the reason some of these recordings are a little rough. So he gets clapped. So, and Star-Lord and Warnell's, they're trying to get away, as I said. And Nebula chases them while, you know, the others fight on the ground. And, Gamora gets shot down, right? It's like, oh no! And, while they're in space and all this stuff. And they get the orb is in Gamora's ship, so Gamora's just left there. And Nebula gets the orb, and, you know, it's like, oh no, that's not good. And Star-Lord, because he's slowly been there's no romance budding there. It's more a one-sided, but hey, you know, it will become two-sided. Spoiler. It will become two-sided. I don't know. It didn't happen in this movie, but it will. So he gets out of his ship. He has little space masks for Star-Lord, so he can breathe in space. She got shot down, and she's in the middle of space, so, you know, she's currently freezing. He calls the Ravagers. You know, he's done running. So the Ravagers can pick him up and save them. So he puts the mask on Gamora as a heroic duty and saves Gamora and barely doesn't die from the cold. Has a reason for that, because, you know, no normal human would be able to survive that long. But the Ravagers save them, and they and Rocket also have to go try to save them from the Ravengers. Well, save. Star-Lord and Gamora convince the Ravengers to join the fight and try to do the biggest heist and try to steal back that orb and take down Ronan. And they do convince him. And the funny thing, Rocket and Ice, they obviously they don't know this, so they're like, I'm ready to blow up this ship if you do not let Star-Lord and Gamora go. And then it's like, no, don't shoot that down. Don't shoot that down. Understandable. Have a great day. So they started to devise a plan to take down Ronan. So they alert the Nova Corps, and the Nova Corps joins in, and there's a whole big battle and all that stuff. And they try to fight Ronan. Ronan has this stone now, and he put it in his hammer, so he goes, and he's turned on Thanos. He's like, I don't need your pity things. I'll wipe Xandar myself. Wacko. So, there's a whole big fight, and then the fight goes to the ground. It's first a ship battle, pretty cool ship battle, and go to the ground, and it all begins. You're like, I'm way too powerful, and all this stuff. And in a way to distract, so Star-Lord's really into music and dancing and all this stuff, like 80s music, Earth music for him. And he does a little dance, like all that stuff, like, and all that stuff. And then everyone's like, what are you doing? And, so I'm distracting you, bro. And so Rocket puts a device to break the hammer so that the stone could fall. And Star-Lord takes it. It usually kills the person, right? It takes them a little bit, but they all join hands and they're like, and together they are able to hold it, and they kill Ronan, and now they've saved the galaxy. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They're the Guardians of the Galaxy. And that's the basic plot right there, and that'll lead right into the second one. No other films in between. We'll lead to the second one, Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 2. Okay, so I realized after I recorded that I missed a really important thing about Guardians of the Galaxy. So before we move on to Volume 2, I just want to point out something. So before they enter that little dance, but like, Groot, so Ronan has the upper hand and all that stuff, and then the ship starts exploding, and Groot, I am Groot. He sacrifices himself, and it's really sad. Groot dies because Groot's a really adorable character. Despite I am Groot, I am Groot, I am Groot, and he sacrifices his life. And as he sacrifices his life, he has a whole new word to his vocabulary, and he says,
We are Groot.
Meaning we are family, and it's really sad. But luckily, Groot's not all dead. A little stick of him survived, so now he's just a little child, and he'll become a baby Groot in the next movie. So with that, we do move on to the next movie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I've already said this, but I just want to point it out. So next up, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
It broke my heart to put that tumor in her head. What?
No, all right. I know that sounds bad. Who in the hell do you think you are?
Right, and next up, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I've said that 1,000 times, but yeah, so this one is, so in the grand scheme of things, well, yes, the threat of this movie is way more dangerous than Ronan the Accuser. It is also more of a self-contained story, and is a very important story for particularly the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy, Star-Lord. So the story begins with them doing a job for a group of golden pricks called the Sovereign, and they're trying to protect some Anulax batteries from a monster that's just keeps trying to attack and steal the batteries, you know? So, you know, they fight, and there's a whole cool fight scene, you know, all this stuff, and and that's the entire intro. And they defeat the monster and all that stuff, and the Sovereign thanked him, was like, thank you, and they give them Nebula, because Nebula's apparently got Nebula during the time that, during the gap in time. And what happens, right, is that as they're walking away, is revealed that Rocket, instead of the monster stealing Iron's batteries, Rocket stole some, which, you know, not the smartest thing in the world, but hey, those are pretty good. Those are pretty, make a lot of money, so, you know, can you blame them? Yes, I can. So yeah, he stole some Anulix batteries as they're flying away. You know, the Sovereign learn of this, and they start hunting them down. And as they're hunting them, they have to get to another. They have to jump to another planet fast, so they can get away from the Sovereign. So they're flying away. They fly through an asteroid field, and they teleport, and they fly to a planet, and they crash land. And they crash land on the planet. While they're flying there, they see a guy on a ship. And they're like, "Who's that?" And we'll learn later. And they crash on the planet, and they get mad at Rocket and Peter Quill because they having a little, like, they're butting heads and all that, because Rocket's being a jerk. He's being a professional jerk. And then, like, Peter's like, are you trying to make everyone hate you? Because it seems like that, you know, which, you know, that's a reasonable assumption, because my brother's not being nice. In this movie, this entire arc, just, like, to learn, like, he just can't handle being loved, so he tries to push people away, because he's like, I don't know what to do with this. Kind of thing. It's better explained in the movie. As I said, this is a good movie too. Both the Guardians of the Galaxy are pretty good. The first one's better because I think it has more heart to it, and this one still has heart to it, but it's funny. So, and then so that one ship that they saw while they're on this planet crash landed, the ship comes down, and then we see a man named Ego and his assistant Mantis, which Mantis will be a future member of the Guardians of the Galaxy, but we're gonna move on from that. And Ego being actually let's actually hold off on that. So Ego and Star-Lord's like, who's you? And he's like, I thought my rugged good looks wouldn't give it away. I'm your dad, Peter. It's his dad. I remember, so in the last movie, it was revealed, I think, at the very end, that he was only half human, and his other half is something of a greater entity, or like a very powerful creature, which is the reason he survived holding the Infinity Stone for so long, and kind of partially explains why he could survive being in space for that long from the first movie. So, you know, it's all connected. And so, yeah, so in Ego, which Ego, and they go off to his planet. They reveal that Ego is a celestial, which is a really powerful being. You know, they're like gods. They're not actual gods. In a humble way of Ego's like small G, son. I'm not an actual god. Small G. And yeah, so that, and Rocket and Groot don't go to the Ego planet because they have to keep watch, trying to repair the ship while also keeping watch over Nebula, because Nebula could escape, and don't want that happening. So the Guardians hang out with Ego. You know, Star-Lord has some time with his actual father. You know, it's like, that's pretty cool. And while that's happening, this story really focuses on another character, Yondu. Which Yondu is the person in the first movie who abducted Peter Quill, and his initial job was to deliver Peter to Ego, but he didn't do it. Why he didn't, we'll learn later. The initial reason that Peter has in his head is that, oh, he was a little skinny kid, so he's good for thieving. He can get the things that the others can't. Good for thieving. That's what he thinks. And So because he did that, the entire Ravager people are consider Yondu a disgrace because like you broke the code. We don't deal in children. That was apparently that's the one part of the Ravager code. That was like you can't use kids, which understandable. Have a great day. And yeah, he's down on his luck, and his crew realizes that whenever a person from another corps is like, you don't do no, he gets all mad at him and all this stuff, and so they decide to do a mutiny. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting ahead of myself there. Yeah, spoiler, mutiny. So Yondu gets tasks with hunting down the Guardians of the Galaxy from the Sovereign. Hire him and his Ravager Corps to hunt down them, and they find the location, and obviously only Rocket and Groot are there. Rocket, Groot, and Nebula are there, so obviously they go over there. And they come with the preparation. The whole Ravager Corps, except for Yondu, go with the attention. Yeah, we're gonna capture these people. We're gonna capture these bros. And Yondu had other plans. Like, nah, we're not gonna capture them. We're actually just gonna take those Anti-Lax batteries and sell those off. Which the Ravager Corps, because the bounty on the Guardians was 1 million units, and Anti-Lax batteries are only 250,000. So like, what? Bro, we could get way more money if we just turn them over. What? But it's like, no, we can. So obviously the Ravengers aren't happy about that, so they start a mutiny. Yeah, they're gonna transport at least Rocket and Groot to the core, to the Sovereign, and start a mutiny. And I'm gonna stay on here and then I'll switch back to the Ego storyline. They start a breakout. So like Yondu, Rocket, and Baby Groot. Yeah, it's Baby Groot. He's back. I am Groot. He's back, and he's adorable. There's a whole little scene where like he's getting like drinks poured all over him because the Ravagers are savages. So you're like, it's a sad moment. It's a sad day. And yeah, they just try to escape plan, and they learn that and Rocket says about the whole ego thing, and then Yondu's like, oh no, boy, we gotta go save him, because now we're gonna switch over to the ego storyline. So obviously, we've been learning. Star-Lord is spending time with his dad, and all other Guardians are spending time. Drax is people gets to know Mantis and all that stuff. And obviously Ego talks about how he loved Peter's mother. It was his first love, and obviously he reveals he's celestial, and that he is not an actual human. He is the planet itself. Ego, the living planet. In the comics, that's what it was. Ego, the living planet. He is the planet. He is a celestial. He is a godlike being. And he's like, wait, hold on. It's sort of like, can I do that? He's like, yes, Quill, yes, you can, because he's one of the people that has the genes, the celestial genes. And we're gonna skip over a little bit. There's this whole storyline with Gamora and Nebula and all that stuff. Or like Nebula, just like all I wanted was a sister kind of thing, which that's important. But we're gonna skip over that for a second, because Star-Lord's story is way more important here, and also so is Yondu's. But Ego reveals that he was the one that caused his mother's death. That's where the club comes from. He put a tumor in her heart, which, sort of like, what? As from the clip. And in that same conversation, Ego reveals that he what he wants to do, and like, he made himself into a human so he could feel what it meant. It's like a Jesus thing, except he's not a good person. Except Ego ain't a good person. So, and then he realizes what his divine purpose is to expand and make the whole universe him. So it's like he can create a whole universe and all this stuff. So all of it is Ego. something like that. The storyline, something like that. And he reveals that Peter's mother is only one of a long line of children of women Ego has been with, and he's trying to fall in love with them, making a kid so he can have a child that has the celestial gene. And Peter has been the only one who had the celestial gene. He's Ego's brought a bunch of other children of his children there, but none of them has celestial gene. Because they didn't have celestial gene, Ego offed them, killed them. Gamora finds the bones of them, and they're like, what? It's obviously that starts a whole battle. Rocket and Yondu go off to try to save Star-Lord. And Star-Lord and Ego have the Guardians and the Ego have a whole battle and all that stuff. And it's all really cool. It's a planet versus the Guardians of the Galaxy. And the Guardians of the Galaxy take them down, but not without sacrifice, because Guardians of the Galaxy has a theme of just sacrificing at least one character. And this character is a character who has been like a father to Peter. While Ego, his real father, Yondu, has been his father figure. And Yondu sacrifices himself. And as he sacrifices himself, he says this.
He may have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy. I'm sorry I didn't do none of it right. I'm damn lucky you, my boy.
What?
Yondu, what are you doing? You can't. Yondu! No. No! Oh! Oh, come! No! No! Oh, no!
And it was really sad, and yeah, as you can tell from that scene right there, that was a long. I put a longer clip in there than I expected. I was expecting only to do the recording of the. He may have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy. And I was expecting only to do that, but I was like, I feel like it'd be fitting just to show the whole little death scene. Just make it a little sadder, make you a little tear up, even though you haven't connected to this character. But yeah, it's a really sad death. The Guardians kill Ego, and all that, and this world is saved. Yippee! And that'll lead into the next movie. We're going back to Thor, baby. We're going to Thor 3, Thor Ragnarok, the best Thor. I haven't seen Thor Love and Thunder, so this one could be better, but Thor Ragnarok is the best one. Thor 3. Let's get it. And then we enter Thor Ragnarok, the most rewatchable MCU movie. Out of all the movies here, I'd recommend this one the highest to watch. You probably need to see the other ones to understand it fully, but this is one of the most rewatchable MCU movies of all time. So, Thor Ragnarok. Our movie starts with Thor wrapped in chains. And Thor's like, you might be wondering what I'm doing here. And you're like, yeah, what's happening? He's like Thor's sitting in a cage, wrapped in chains. What's happening here? And you see that he's in a cage, and there's in front of him, and he's spinning around in a cage, is a man named Surtur. And you're like, what's happening here? Thor's been searching for answers all these after Thor Ragnarok, Avengers Age of Ultron, and he's just, This is just let him hear. And so he breaks out of these chains and all stuff, and he fights an army of Surtur's demons and kills Surtur himself. Surtur ain't the villain of this story. I just want to point that out real quickly. He kills Surtur. He goes. It's an epic mission. He gets chased down by a dragon, and he gets picked up by Heimdall. Well, actually, not or is it Heimdall? Plot twist, it's not. He comes back to Asgard after many years to see a lot of things have changed. Heimdall's not at the sword. It's a man named Scourge, player Carl Urban. Love that. What, seen The Boys? Let's go, yes sir. But a boy named Scourge is operating the sword. There's a real funny scene there. I'm not gonna bother recapping it. I already even showing you a clip of that, but it's a funny scene. And Thor comes back and he goes to go see Odin. And he goes, and as you know from Thor: The Dark World, that Odin is not Odin. Odin is Loki. Is Loki in disguise, and for this long time, Loki has been disguised as Odin, acting like Odin, and he's been king of Asgard. So, and Thor doesn't know this, but Thor goes talks to Odin, and he gets a little suspicious, based on how the way Odin is talking, because Odin's quite surprised, because Loki's quite surprised about this. And so Thor does a test, throws the hammer across the world, and lets it loop around Asgard. And it's like, oh, if you were the real Odin, you can just call the hammer and not let it plunge into your skull. But it's Loki, and he's not worthy. So Loki boots himself out. He's like, fine, I give up. And I was like, oh, gasp. And Loki's still alive, because while this is happening, before Thor arrived, Loki was eating grapes as Odin, watching a play of the recreation of the death of Loki and making Loki look like a hero. Stroking his ego real quickly. And yeah, it is realized Loki is in place of Thor, in place of Odin, and now Thor's like, where's Odin? And Loki's like, I banished him to Earth. I don't know where he exactly is, but all I know he's on Earth. And Thor ain't happy, but Thor and Loki go down to Earth, and just they have to go look for Odin, and where Loki thinks Odin is not there. He's looks like, I swear he was there. So they go to another hero, a fellow hero himself, a doctor. Well, actually no, they don't run into Doctor Strange. They're all trying to look for Odin, right? And suddenly Loki gets taken. Loki gets kidnapped by Doctor Strange. And Thor's like, huh? What's happening here? And Doctor Strange reveals, he's like, Loki's a very dangerous person. After the events of Avengers, stuff, while Loki was attacking Earth, I was like, understandable, Doctor Strange thinks Loki's a threat. And yeah, Loki's technically is a threat. But and so they run into Doctor Strange. That's an important movie. Just want to note here, you don't need to see Doctor Strange, but there is a part in there. In the Doctor Strange post-credit scene, Thor is in the post-credit scene. It is also a scene in Thor Ragnarok, I'm pretty sure, or a scene like that is in Thor Ragnarok. So I just want to point that out real quickly. So after all of that, there's a Thor and Loki thing, and Thor convinces Doctor Strange to help him find Odin, and Doctor Strange uses a spell. He's a magician. He's a sorcerer. He's a sorcerer supreme, and he uses this magic to find Odin. And Thor is like, "Thank you," and this is the location. All right, you can be off. Sorry, you gave me Loki, and Loki's been falling for 30 minutes in an endless void. So he's like, I've been falling for 30 minutes. I thought I was doing a clip right there, but I'm like, Am I really gonna take the time for like that 2-second clip? Is a funny scene. I'll probably put a GIF on there or something. But yeah, they go find Odin, and Odin's sitting on a cliff in Normandy? Somewhere. He's just sitting on a cliff, sitting on a rock. And he's like, I've been expecting you, my sons. And all this stuff. And it's like, I think it is the end of my time. I spent 6 minutes and we're only in the beginning. It's the end of my time. And they come only to see Odin pass away. Odin dies. Sadness. So, I love you, my sons. See, unlike the other 2 death scenes that I've actually included clips for, I'm not going to include that one. So, with Odin dying, he also gives warning. Odin's like, I've been holding back. So, I want to reveal to you something. You 2 are not my only 2 children. I have another child. I have a daughter who's older than you, Thor. You have an older sister. Gasp, gasp. Family troubles. And as once Odin dies, immediately, Thor and Loki's sister, Hela, pulls up to the scene. Hela is all cool and pulls up, and she ain't a good person. Hela is the goddess of death. So, Hela goes to try to kill them, or try to attack them at least, and Thor throws his hammer, and Hela catches it. She's not worthy, but she catches it and shatters Mjolnir. The hammer has been broken. Gasp! Dun, 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 dun! And then they start to try to get away because, oh no, they've broken Mjolnir, and Hela catches it and goes through the Bifrost and goes with them, and she knocks them both out of the Bifrost portal, and she goes straight to Asgard. The others go to who knows where, and this is where they go, a place I forgot what this place is called, but the place the Grand Master, and they both end up, Loki, and both of them end up, Thor ends up, and doesn't see Loki at all. And he ends up in a junkyard on a random planet. He doesn't know where he is. And suddenly, he gets captured by Valkyrie, a really cool character that you'll get to know throughout this. And she's going to be in Thor Love and Thunder, so you might want to know her. The Valkyries, yeah, so right now, all you know is she's a drunkard. Right now. That's all you know. That's all you know. So she delivers him to the Grand Master, and the Grand Master, and Valkyrie notices that Thor is a fighter. He's like, I will not be taken down. I am the God of Thunder. So he delivers the Grand Master. He's like, I've got you a contender. And the Grand Master's like, this is why you're my favorite. Played by Jeff Goldblum. It's like, yes. A contender, yes. And Grand Master's a guy who loves games. So when I say contender, it's a fighter in a whole big game. They call it a Contest of Champions. I don't know if it's actually called that in the movies, but that's technically what it's called. And so Thor gets put into a game, and it is revealed. Like, he's pitted in the main event as the God of Thunder and all that stuff. And he doesn't have his hammer and all that stuff, but, he's still a skilled fighter. He's still super strong. So he gets put into the main event against who he doesn't know. And something I forgot to reveal in Age of Ultron. Actually, no. I'm actually gonna back up here. I'm gonna go back to the scene real quickly. So he goes, and he doesn't know who he's fighting, and it is the Incredible Hulk. It's Hulk in a full battle armor with armor. Where did he come from? See, in Age of Ultron, at the very end, Hulk ends up in a plane, in a Quinjet, and the Quinjet just keeps flying off, and we don't know where he is. Hulk disappears. They're like, where'd it go? Well, this is where he went. Apparently, the Quinjet went so far that we went into a whole different galaxy, and he ended up on this planet. So, Thor and Hulk fight, and Thor's like, yes! He's a friend from work! and he thinks that Hulk's gonna, be all friendly and all that stuff. Nope. Thor and Hulk fight, and it's an epic duel. And Thor has the upper hand. Thor unlocks a whole hidden power. He's like, I still have electricity. He actually unleashes his electricity. He always thought that the hammer was the source of his power. But I guess not, maybe. So he almost takes out Hulk. But Grandmaster is a cheater, and Hulk is his champion. Hulk is undefeated. He doesn't want his champion defeated. So he has put a chip in Thor before the fight, and he shocks him. And he's like, yeah, he got killed by electricity. The Thor of Thunder got killed by electricity. So yeah, Thor gets knocked out all of a sudden, even though he had an upper hand. So Hulk wins the fight. And, Thor would have won that fight, but Grandmaster, a cheater. Meanwhile, we learn where, we already learned this before in the movie, but Loki didn't come as a fighter. Apparently, because Loki fell through first, he came there weeks in the timeline, weeks before. So weeks later, Thor pops up, even though when they fell through the Bifrost, it was only a few seconds. So apparently Loki's been there, and he's been schmoozing, using his wise words and all that stuff. And he's got a good place with the Grand Master. And, hold on, I'm sorry. Recording, sorry. Gotta go to where the Grand Master, and he's been on his side and all that stuff. And Grandmaster's not the villain. Obviously, Hela's the villain. And so so Thor tries to get the help from Hulk. And he's like, we need to go. Hela's trying to wreck Asgard. And then Hulk's like, I don't care. See, Hulk hasn't turned into Bruce Banner in years. So, there's a problem there. So, there's Thor and Hulk, and they need the help of Valkyrie, which Thor learns that Valkyrie is Asgardian. And so we get a whole backstory that Valkyrie, a whole bunch of years later, before she fought Hela with a group of Valkyries, the warriors, yes, girl power, and the power of the Valkyries, and they get folded by Hela. Hela kills all the Valkyries except for her, which is why she's become a drunkard and depressed, and yeah. So, but Thor convinces Valkyrie and Hulk. Well, mostly Hulk gets turned back into Bruce and Banner because they find the Quinjet, and Hulk hears a voice in Natasha, which in Age of Ultron there was a whole romance I forgot to mention, which wasn't that important in that movie, so it makes sense why I didn't mention it. But yeah, there was a whole romance in Age of Ultron, and that didn't really butt into anything because Hulk was like, I can't love anyone. Bruce Banner was like, I can't love anyone. I'm a monster. Kind of thing. Kind of whole spiel. And so he turns back to Bruce Banner. And all three of them and they go and escape the battle world, escape the Grand Master, so they go to Asgard so they can take down Hela. And I want to hop back real quickly before we get into this little scene here. Also, Loki hops along to go back to, try to stop Hela. So there's a little thing that Surtur was like, I am destined to cause Ragnarok, which Ragnarok is a ancient prophecy that of an event that would destroy Asgard, the end of Asgard. It is Surtur's destiny to destroy it. Wait, hold on, but Surtur died. So let's hop back. I just want to establish that real quickly before we get into this. So Thor, the whole team pull up to the scene, and they go and fight Hela, and it is revealed to Thor that the hammer was never the source of his electricity. It was just a way he could focus his power into the hammer. So he's always been electricity. He's not the god of hammers. He's the god of thunder. So, he fights Hela, but even then, he's no match for Hela. So he then realizes something, that he's not supposed to be trying to prevent Ragnarok. He needs to let it happen. So what he does is he sends Loki into the Asgard vault while Thor, Valkyrie, and a whole army, and someone I just want to mention this real quickly before we end this fight here. There's a character named Korg who's Amen, but it's sort of revolution. Amen. Is it when it will come? I started a revolution, but I didn't do puppets. He's a pretty funny character, voiced by the director of the movie. It's pretty cool. I just want to point that out real quickly. Yeah, so he's also in that fight. Also, Scourge turns sides. Hela. At first, Scourge works for Hela. Also, I missed a whole scene here. So back when Hela went to Asgard and all that stuff, she murdered a bunch of Asgardian soldiers and took over Asgard. I just want to point that out real quickly. And Scourge Scourge turns against Hela and helps in the fight and dies, but dies, but whatever. So they cause Ragnarok. Loki goes into the Asgardian vault to go look for the crown, because after Thor killed Surtur, he took the crown of Surtur and put it in the Asgardian vault. So Loki goes to get that. While he's going to walk over there, he sees the Tesseract, which in the event of Avengers, that's what he was after. He stole the Tesseract and tried to use it to take over. So he looks at the Tesseract, like, very interesting, and who knows what happens there? But Loki does grab the crown and puts it over a flame and awakens Surtur. And instead of Thor and all those people killing Hela, Surtur kills Hela, and with killing Hela, explodes Asgard. Asgard has been destroyed. But Thor, Loki, and all of them get all the people of Asgard out of there, and Thor is like, Asgard is not a place; it is a people. So that place is, just because Asgard has been destroyed doesn't mean Asgard doesn't live on, and all this stuff, and and that is how the movie ends. But I actually wanted, the first time, I want to show you the post credit scene here. So they're talking, and Thor and Loki are not on actually good terms now. And they're all waiting around, and then they suddenly see that there's a ship outside, a big ship outside of the ship that's holding Asgardian people. Who could that be? I don't know. I guess we'll figure out in the next movie, Avengers Infinity War. we start with Avengers Infinity War. And then, obviously, this is a very monumental story. Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, the next movie we're going to be talking about after this, are both a monumental set of movies that signify the end of the last previous movies before this, the Infinity Saga. This ends it. It all culminates here. But all we're going to cover right now is what is related to Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy. Because Guardians of the Galaxy are in here. Because, it's a whole big thing. Guardians of the Galaxy aren't Avengers, but they are going to be for this movie, for these movies. So yeah, Avengers Infinity War. We open at a wrecked ship. You remember the post-credit scene of Thor Ragnarok? Well, that ship started attacking the Asgardian ship and has killed a lot of Asgardians. And who pops on the ship? Thanos. The big bad, the guy who popped up in the Guardians of the Galaxy. As just like a cameo. He was in the post-credit scene of Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron. He's been built up over and over and over again. This brother's been here since the beginning. And he's hunting down the Infinity Stones, and he's going after it. He's going after all of them. He's already gotten one of the stones as of this point, but right now he's on the ship. On Thor's ship. Thor is laying weak. Loki, same. Heimdall, same. None of our favorite characters so far have died yet. They're just out cold, and some of the Avengers are dead, And so Thanos is looking for Infinity Stone because he sensed there was an Infinity Stone here. And Thor's like, we don't have an Infinity Stone. And Loki's like, yeah, sure, we don't have one. Reveals he does. You remember that Tesseract from Thor Ragnarok? Yeah, he took that. It was and with that, there has the stone, and Loki, out of a just fear, he gives Thanos the Tesseract, which has an Infinity Stone. He crushes the thing and he puts the Infinity Stone in his gauntlet. See, he has a gauntlet that he can collect all the Infinity Stones and all stuff. If he has all the Infinity Stones, he can wipe the universe with a snap of his fingers. So we got that. So what happens, right, is Loki attempts to backstab Thanos. And he's like, and we have a Hulk. The Hulk's still on the bridge and tries to fight Thanos. Gets folded. And before that guy can be killed, Heimdall uses the magic of the Bifrost, because apparently Heimdall still has his powers without needing the Rainbow Bridge, or the little machine. He uses his powers to teleport Hulk away, only for him to get killed. First death. These are some wide stakes here. Heimdall has been killed. And Loki acts like he's just joining along with Thanos, and then he attempts to kill Thanos, but fails because Thanos saw that coming 1,000 miles away. And he takes Loki by the neck, with Thor watching. He's like, no! And he kills Loki. This time, Loki is actually dead. He's faked his death multiple times. I mean, he could come back, but he in this timeline, he dead. So Loki has been killed. No. It just, yeah, it's just very, very much a very sad death, because we've grown to care about this character a lot, and it's just, it's just sad. So yeah, and then with that, the Thanos detonates the ship, leaving most Asgardians dead, either dead or floating in space. And Thor. How did Valkyrie survive? Just trying to think. Well, let's not think on that too hard. Let's not think on that too hard at all. So Thor's just floating through space, right? And then we switch, and then we go to the back to the Guardians of the Galaxy. The Guardians of the Galaxy are flying through space. They've been sent on a job. There is a distress call from the Asgardians, which they don't know that. So they're just flying, and they see the wreckage, and it's like, oh, I guess we were too late. And then bam, Thor hits the window. They're like, holy crap! So they put Thor on board, and that's how those two meet. And this is where the arc starts. And Thor gets up. They talk about all they've lost. Like Thor's lost his mother, his brother, and he's had to kill his sister, and his dad's also dead. Family tree, life be like that. Thor's life is very tough. And then in an attempt to a one up him, because Chris Pratt, Star-Lord is sorry, it's the actor's name. Star-Lord's getting jealous because it's another bulky man, and he's just like and also they start trying to test testosterone. He's like, well, I had to kill my father. I lost my mother to cancer, and I was forced to kill my father, which must be harder than having to kill my sister. And I was like, he was trying to one up, and he's like, sir, now's not the time. Now's not the time. So, with that, Thor goes on needs to go on a journey because he doesn't have a hammer. He needs a hammer, so he knows where he has to go to a certain place. He has to go to Vladimir, something like that. So him and Rocket and Groot go together, and they go off to go make a new kind of hammer, a Thanos killing weapon. And while that happens, the Guardians go to another planet because they've been told about Thanos and all stuff. And obviously Gamora knows about Thanos because Gamora knows about Thanos because obviously she's the daughter of Thanos. So, make change. And also to reveal that Gamora knows the location of a certain Infinity Stone, but she hasn't told Thanos this. And she plans on keeping that a secret to the grave. You know what I mean? And, so yeah, but they all go off to go to another planet that is containing, the power, the reality stone, which was the ether. See, in a post-credit scene of the first Thor, no, the second Thor, the Thor's buddies, they give the ether to the Collector, from the Guardians of the Galaxy. Certain things I leave out that I have to round back real quickly just to fill you in real quickly, because as I said, this is a very monumental MCU film that is the culmination of all of these films. So I have to explain some things while I'm just trying to cover, Thor and Guardians of the Galaxy for this. So yeah, the Guardians go, and Thanos is there, right? And it looks like, all the Guardians are there except for Rocket and Groot, because they're with Thor. And they go, and Thanos, as I said, Thanos is there. Thanos is interrogating the Collector and all that stuff, or at least that's what it looks like. And Gamora, and they sneak attack, and Gamora kills Thanos, or it looks like that, because suddenly the entire surroundings changes, and Thanos is still alive. Oh no, he already had the reality stone. All that was a ruse. That's no good. So he folds the Guardians of the Galaxy. He doesn't kill any of them, but he does take Gamora, because Gamora knows the location of the next Infinity Stone. So he takes her her and Peter Quill's like, nah, kind of thing. And then let's go hop back to Thor. They go to a planet to find where the Mjolnir was initially forged, and they go to this guy called Eitri, the dwarf, which he's a dwarf, but man is big. And it is revealed that Thanos has been there. And this is where... You remember when that gauntlet that I said that it contained the Infinity Stones? You remember how, back in Guardians of the Galaxy, that when you touched the Power Stone, you would nearly die? And you remember the ether that nearly killed Jane Foster? Or, like, threatened Jane Foster and all that stuff? You know that... so you think it would be pretty dangerous, right? So, yeah, and Thanos saw that coming. So he had Eitri, the dwarf, make a gauntlet. And Eitri only did that because if he didn't do that, he thought Thanos wouldn't kill his friend, all of his the rest of his kind. He didn't. He made the gauntlet for Thanos, but Thanos still killed everyone. But he let Eitri live, but he also cut off his arms. Kind of weird. So yeah. But Eitri does agree to make a new blade called Stormbreaker. So yeah, let's hop back to the Guardians. So the Guardians have to go to... where did they go? Ooh, it's a good question. Where do they go? Hold on. Okay, so there's probably an explanation why they went to a certain place in this story, but I'm not sure. I probably just need to rewatch the entire movie because I cannot think of it. So we're actually gonna, before we hop to the next Guardians thing, we have to go separate one of the Guardians. Gamora. Obviously, Gamora has been taken by Thanos. And we need to know why. Obviously, she knows the location of an Infinity Stone, so he needs to get that answer out of her stat. You know what I mean? Because he needs those Infinity Stones, apparently. So, Thanos brings her in there. She's trying to... And we get a little establishment of their relationship, and they also get a little origin. There's also a little origin of how, like, how Thanos found her and why he took her as her daughter. Which there isn't like a devious reason. He actually really loved her. And all that stuff. Thanos is not an all bad villain. Like, obviously, villains are tend to be like, they're evil. Like, yeah, you're doing something wrong. But, like, he thinks to himself that wiping half the universe is a good idea. Yeah. So, yeah. So, he knows, she knows. So, he reveals that he's torturing her sister, Nebula. And he won't stop torturing her unless she reveals it. And she does reveal it eventually, and it's on a different planet. It's on a planet over there. And I was okay. Then I was like, okay, we going then. And all right, let's go. And then we keep going here. We flash forward a little bit. Another scene with Gamora. And they go to the planet. And they go up, and her and Thanos, she's doing this. She doesn't want to do this. But there is a person at the Keeper of the Stone, basically. And he reveals that the stone will only be granted to someone who is willing to sacrifice something they love. She said to toss him off this cliff in order to get the stone. The stone will only give itself. He does not. The guy doesn't actually have the stone. He just instructs. Which, by the way, I just want to point this out real quickly. That one little guy, if you watch Captain America, the first Captain America, that is Red Skull. That is the villain of the first one. Yeah, he's still alive. yeah, he lived. Man was old back in World War II. Sir, man, still living like a champ. Not a champ at all, but whatever. So yeah. And obviously, Gamora's like, haha, you don't love me. You don't love anything. And then Thanos like, and then Gamora's like, crap. Like, oh, crap. He loves me. And so he throws her off the cliff, and Gamora is dead. Dun, dun, dun. And then we hop over to the Guardians. The Guardians ended up on the planet Titan. You know who else is on planet Titan? Another half of the Avengers. They just got there. Those Avengers would be Iron Man, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man. Yes, let's go. And even Nebula, who escapes from a place after the torturing, does end up there, but like a little later in the fight kind of thing. And they go there, and they know Thanos is going to go there because Doctor Strange has the Time Stone, which is one of the stones he needs to collect. So they go to that planet, and which might be why the Guardians are there. You know, I need to fully rewatch the movie, but I don't feel like rewatching the entire thing just to get one answer. You know what I mean? Yeah, so they go. Thanos pulls up on the spot, and he's like, and they've devised a plan. The Star-Lord and Iron Man they've been collabing, and they come up with a plan to pull off so they can pull off Thanos' gauntlet and so he can be defeated. And that plan fails. The Thanos folds them. You know why he folds them? Because Star-Lord is an idiot. So obviously, as you know, Gamora is dead. And while he's in a state where they can pull off the gauntlet, he's like, yeah. He's like, where's Gamora? He's like, where's Gamora, man? And Thanos is like, and you can tell Thanos is getting sad, even though he's in a very sleepy, basically a sleep state, because of Mantis. Mantis has the power to put people to sleep and also control their emotions. And he's like, well, what happened? What happened? And Nebula's like, it's like, they sent her to that they both went to that planet, and only he came back. He's like, wait, hold on. No, you didn't. And he's like, I had to. It's like, no, you didn't. And he gets all mad. And because, obviously, I understand him, but he's being an idiot. He hits Thanos countless, which knocks him out of the stasis that Mantis had him over. And he starts fighting them. And all of them get folded by Thanos. Thanos gets the Time Stone. And now he's off to Wakanda. Meanwhile, we're back with Thor, and Thor is they're forging the thing, and they're about to forge it, right? He had to do something. So the forge that they use is a little rusty, right? So they need Thor to help adjust it and get the ice off of it, so it can work again. So he does that. And he takes the full power of a star for a couple seconds so that you can forge this weapon, and he nearly dies. And so they need to do that fast. They need to get that axe together fast. So they have the metal card, but Groot pulls up with the clutch, and he sacrifices. So Groot at this point is a teenager. I just want to point this out real quickly. So he extends his arm. He cuts off his own arm. He can regen. Don't worry. He can grow his arm back, and he uses that arm as a handle for the axe. It's an axe, not a hammer. And he uses that, and then we see that the thing, and that helps Thor. And meanwhile, so over this time, they've been trying to protect Vision. Vision, obviously in Age of Ultron, he has a stone in his head. So Thanos is going to come after that. So there's a whole battle going on, right? There's a whole battle going on, and they're struggling. That's what this clip is from. That from the beginning, when it was like, "Bring me Thanos," and all stuff. So they're struggling on, and Thanos comes crashing down. Not Thanos. Thor comes crashing down, and he annihilates them, and he goes out like a boss, broski. He's fighting everyone, and all that, and he nearly takes them all out. and all that stuff. Then Thanos arrives. Thanos goes and he's after the Vision's stone. And he goes, and everyone tries to stop him, but they can't stop him. Thor is busy, occupied somewhere else, and Thanos gets the last stone. And then Thor pops up. He throws an axe right into Thanos' chest, thinking he's won. He's like, yes, yes. And he has this thing plunged into Thanos, in Thanos' chest. And Thanos like,
You should have gone for the head.
and he snaps, wiping with all the Infinity Stones in his gauntlet, and he wipes half of the universe out of existence. Thanos has won, and Thor feels bad. Thor doesn't get snapped out of existence, and this is where it leads. Oh no, the Avengers have lost, and that leads right into the next film, Avengers Endgame, the last movie that you need to see.
He's back. That kid on the TV just called me a dickhead again.
Noob Master.
Yeah, Noob Master 69 called me a dickhead.
Noob Master, hey, it's Thor again. You know, the God of Thunder? Listen, buddy, if you don't log off this game immediately, I'm gonna fly over to your house, come down to that basement you're hiding in, rip off your arms, and shove them up your butt! Oh, that's right. Yes, go cry to your father, you little weasel.
Thank you, Thor.
Hey, let me know if he bothers you again, okay?
Thank you very much. I will.
So we are on the final movie. The final movie that you need to see before seeing Thor, Love and Thunder. Here's the final recap. The recap of Avengers Endgame. Our story begins 5 years into the future. 5 years, actually not 5 years later, immediately after. The universe has been cut. Half of the universe has been wiped out of existence. It's been a couple days. And the Avengers, I actually don't know how long it's been, but still, the Avengers vow to take revenge. So, they all, while this is happening, everyone is separated, everything is in disarray. Iron Man's off in a different, in space, and Captain Marvel saves him, and all that stuff. And then Captain Marvel saves him, which you don't know what Captain Marvel is, but it's another movie. But you don't need to see it. We just need to know what about Thor. So the Avengers reassemble and they go off to kill Thanos. And they go and they sneak attack Thanos. Thanos has retired at this point. He's on a whole different planet. He just relaxing. He just mad chilling. He's like, I can rest on a grateful universe. But the Avengers ain't happy. They kind of angry. So they sneak attack him, and he reveals that he used the stones to destroy the stones. So there's no undoing the universe, the snap. There's none of that. So Thor, out of anger, cuts off his head, and everyone's like, "What did you do?" And he's like,
I am inevitable.
We have to tear this place apart. He has to be lying.
My father is many things. A liar is not one of them.
Thank you, daughter. Perhaps I treated you too harshly. What did you do?
I went for the head.
You see, Thor took not aiming for the head and not killing Thanos before he could snap very hard. So, killing him felt like a good way of getting rid of him. You know what I mean? He actually went for the head, you know? I went for the head, you know? But years pass. Can't tell. Is it 5 or 8 years? I cannot tell, honestly. Years pass. Thor has fell into a depression. This is where that clip is from, where he's looking a little fat, you know? He's looking a little fat. He's fallen into a depression. And he just, by the way, this is mainly a Thor thing. We're not going to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy, really, because most of the Guardians of the Galaxy were snapped out of existence. So, they were executed during the snap, basically. So, yeah. So, Thor has fallen into a depression. He's playing Fortnite, and just drinking beer, and staying in his house all day. He's supposed to be the king of New Asgard, which, by the way, that's what Asgard has become. Asgard has now found a place on Earth, and that's where the Asgardians live. How did they get there? They probably transported them somehow. But it's just like, it's it's fine. It's fine. There's probably a proper explanation. But it's a good movie though. So what happens is, like, obviously he's fallen into a depression. He's gotten fat. He's no longer the muscular Thor that we know and love. And Hulk and Rocket pull up, and they're like, we have an idea. So what's been happening, right, is so they've been coming up with a plan, and Tony Stark has figured out time travel thanks to Ant-Man, which is another hero, coming back from the quantum realm. Like, long stories, just a whole thing that you don't really need to know. He comes back and he figures out time travel. For everyone else, it was 5 years. For him, it was just 5 hours. Like, oh, huh? He was only there for 5 hours. It only felt like 5 hours to him. But it was 5 years. That's insane. So he figured out time travel. And Tony Stark figured out time travel, so now they need to get all the Avengers, to assemble, so they can all go and get the Infinity Stone, go time travel, go across many points in time, and get the Infinity Stone so they can snap everyone back into existence. It's a time heist. Yes, sir. So they go and try to recruit Thor. Thor is like, I don't want to do this. He's traumatized by even the word Thanos, because Hulk says the name Thanos, and Thor says,
So what's up? Just here for a hangover.
We need your help. There might be a chance we could fix everything.
Well, like the cable? Because that's been driving me bananas for weeks.
Like Thanos.
Say that.
Yeah, we don't actually say that name.
because he's so traumatized by this event. He's like, because I messed up. Half of the universe has been wiped. He blames himself, even though truly it was not his fault. So Thor has been going through a hard time. But they do convince him to hop on this adventure, and everyone is going to go, venture on. And you may be wondering, whatever happened to Thor and Jane? Apparently they broke up. I think this was probably revealed in Ragnarok, but they broke up. She left him, and I think we're getting we haven't seen an actual scene of the actual breaking up, but I think in Thor: Love and Thunder, I think it's been think it's been confirmed by Taika Waititi or Natalie, or the actors that we will be getting a scene of that. So you can get an explanation of that. Yeah. So yeah, they've broken up, and so now they're going on time travel adventure. Thor and the Avengers, and Rocket, and Nebula. But so Thor has to go to a time period in Asgard so he can get the ether, the reality stone, out of Jane Foster. So they go back in time. And it's way out how time travel works, where this actually doesn't impact their own time. It's their time travel rules that this whole story can work. So I just want to point that out real quickly before you think, oh, there are the things of the past, so things are gonna change in the future. No, it creates a separate path, but you still can go back to that. It's a weird time travel rule. All right. Time travel movies, they always change the rules every time. But yeah, so yeah, Thor and Rocket go, and they're off to Asgard to get the ether, get the reality stone, and Thor's having a real hard time. He's seeing his old place. He even sees his mother, who was dead. So he's like, I can't do this, kind of thing. And Rocket's like, come on. We got to do this. And so they go off. And Thor's like, yeah. And he's like, I can't do this. So he walks off, and he runs into his mother. And his mother is this is where Loki learned his magic. Thor, she can tell, yeah, you're from the future, aren't you? You need to eat a salad. She literally says that because the man's got a little plump. So she gives him some encouraging words, but he also he pulls his hammer. So his original hammer, he still has the other hammer, but he doesn't have it on him at this point. But he does call for his Mjolnir, so he's still worthy somehow. He's like, how am I still worthy? Yeah, even though he's been in depression, he hasn't been doing anything, but he's still got that heart in him. He's still worthy. So yeah, he gets his hammer back. They get the ether. They go back. Everything seems good. There's been some more adventures around this and all this stuff. There's even an adventure where Captain America, Iron Man, and Ant-Man all go to the Avengers time, and where so they accidentally created a second timeline because they're trying to get the Tesseract. Something fails, and Loki, who has been arrested after the events of Avengers, picks up the Tesseract and teleports away, so creating a whole new timeline where Loki is alive. Watch the Loki series. You don't need to watch it to see Thor: Love and Thunder, but watch that series. It's a good series. It's a good series. So yeah. In all those adventures, I just want to mention the Loki thing, even though I don't think you need to really know about Loki per se. You just need to know about Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy. So what happens is, they come back. Most people have their stones. Everyone has their stones, and everyone has the stones, and it is revealed. So what happens? So with Nebula, so I want to hop back to one of the other people. So there's an adventure with Nebula and War Machine, which in that clip that I just showed you with the I went for the head, that guy in the metal armor is like, that can't be possible. We have to search this place. Kind of that guy. That's War Machine. So they go up into the so they get the stun, and the Nebula of that time takes out that Nebula of our Nebula and switches places with her to help Thanos of that time. Because Thanos like, I have won, and all that stuff. And also Gamora is there. Also, the Gamora of that time is also there. So there's a Gamora in that timeline. He's so far. And so this Nebula has been a decoy and all that stuff. and she gets with a couple codes and all this stuff, unleashes the Thanos of that time onto this planet. It was a big battle. Gamora's there, but Gamora's not a bad person. Gamora joins the good side, so Gamora's back, baby. But before this battle, I should back up. I don't know why I didn't say it. So Hulk uses a gauntlet that Iron Man made and snaps everyone back into existence. Okay, there you go. Now we have that. So they go and they have to have a big battle, and everything seems lost. You know, Thor. Before we say hope, something seems lost. So Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man go off to fight Thanos, and it's like, you cannot live with your own failure. And all stuff, and they're fighting, and Captain America is struggling. All of them are struggling. All of them are down. And all hope seems... Thor has both hammers. He has the axe and the hammer in this fight. And it's pretty epic. And he takes these two things. He's fighting and all this stuff. And that hammer gets knocked to the side. And Thanos is about to kill him with that axe. Karma, even though it's not... It's a different Thanos. And all hope seems lost. Thanos seems to be about to kill Thor until... Yes, Captain America is worthy. He is worthy of the hammer. You see, there was a reference in Avengers Age of Ultron. It seemed like Captain America is worthy because of this clip in Avengers Age of Ultron.
Go, Steve. No pressure. Come on, Cap.
Nothing.
So Captain America uses the Mjolnir and has the upper hand against Thanos, but it still isn't enough. Thanos still pushes them all back, and all hope seems lost. Thanos summons his army, but as you know, the other heroes have been snapped into existence. So all the heroes pull up, and they all together fight Thanos. It's of all the heroes we've seen all across the MCU, and Thanos and his army all fight, and it is an epic battle of epic proportions, and the Avengers win. The Avengers take out the Thanos, and it is epic. This is a great, monumental thing that, yes, it is important to watch this. But Endgame, while, yes, it is important to watch this movie before you see the Thor: Love and Thunder, you will never fully appreciate this movie until you've seen the entire MCU. Because this is a culmination of all of that in a single movie. Just like Infinity War, except to a higher extent of the culmination part. So they defeat this Thanos. Thanos is gone. Iron Man is dead. And it is a monumental occasion. Thor decides, I need to find myself. And all that. So he decides to go with the Guardians of the Galaxy, which, Gamora's alive, but Gamora also ran away because she's like, who's this Star-Lord, and kicks him in the nuts. But so Gamora is not around, but she's alive, but we don't know where she is. But Thor decides to go with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and he's gonna temporarily join the Guardians of the Galaxy, and he's going across the galaxy. He also makes Valkyrie, who we were introduced to in Ragnarok. He makes her king. I need to put that on king, even though technically she is a queen. You know, whatever. She leaves her to be the queen of Asgard, or king or queen. You know, she's not trans. I'm just saying. I'm just saying because like all the leaks or whatever is in king, Valkyrie and all that stuff. So I'm just gonna go with that. So yeah, and then the movie ends with that, them leaving, and all that stuff, and that is where Thor's story picks up in Thor: Love and Thunder. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you know everything you need to know before you see Thor: Love and Thunder. These are some great movies, and I really highly recommend you see these movies. All the MCU movies, because most of them are great and all of them are very fun movies. But if you're watching this, you probably didn't have time before you saw Thor: Love and Thunder with your friend or your lover or just family, something like that. Or you just felt like you wanted to see it, you know. Whatever the situation may be, now you know, hopefully, everything you need to know to see Thor: Love and Thunder. I look forward to seeing this movie coming out on Friday. I'm recording this on Tuesday as we speak. I hope you enjoy this long video. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you enjoy Thor: Love and Thunder. I hope you enjoy.